The movie Canary Black opened with quiet, dramatic music, setting a tense atmosphere. Avery Graves standing on a high building roof from where she saw a picture of a business person, and she jumped from there. As she landed, she saw someone on the door, and she hid herself, and with her intelligent mind, killed him. Inside that building, a phone conversation between two men hinted at an illicit shipment already in transit. One man warned that interfering with the shipment would have regrettable consequences. The ominous tone laid the groundwork for the high-stakes events to follow, where she saw her target and pointed gun on his head. She forced the occupant, a Japanese businessman, to open his safe. As the safe unlocked with a beep, one of the intruders barked an order in Japanese to kill her. A violent fight broke out. The businessman tried to defend himself, and he took the pin drive and tried to escape from her, but the Kailing she overpowered him. She shouted the other person and also shouted 2 bullets on the legs of that business person. She came back to home. Her husband was on the call. They were having anniversary that night. Her husband showed her a gift that was too much expensive, and she was guilty on giving him a panty. But her husband liked that too. She wanted him to have a dinner out from her side because of that guilty. They spent a quilty time outside and have gossips from their past. In the next morning, when she was going for work, her husband insisted her for work from home. But she planned a weekend with him and left for work. Avery Graves arrived at her workplace and handed a wristwatch to Headland, the chief of station, as a token of appreciation. She inquired about Maggie David and herself as well. While moving down in the lift, she discussed her anniversary and the gift with him. They reached a private room where Headland asked Blake to pull up the intel from Kenji's black book. Blake opened the profile and displayed all the information on a large screen. The head explained to Graves that the business firms were being used for weapon shipments, and officials were being paid off. Terrorist networks were also receiving supplies, but the drive contained much more than just that. Graves mentioned that Kali had fulfilled a contract for him and added that he had been deviating from his modus operandi for the past year. The head then ordered Blake to pull up the triad file. He explained that when Graves was in Japan, there had been significant fights and attacks in Krakow involving the Russian mob. It seemed like the triad was encroaching on their customers. He asked Graves to guess who might be responsible. Graves questioned if Kali had carried out another hit for the Russians. She wondered why the top assassin was exclusively taking contracts for the Russian mob. The head replied that Kali had also put a bullet in the heads of 2 undercover agents in South Africa. He suggested that information might help them identify all of the players involved. He instructed Blake to finish her report by the end of the day and left the room. Graves began working by opening Kali's file and diving into the details. She returned and met the neighbors outside. As she entered her hotel room, she found everything scattered, and her husband was not there. She took a knife in her hand and began searching all around the room. Suddenly, the phone on the table rang. She answered the call from an unknown number. The voice on the line informed her that her husband, David Graves, had been kidnapped. The kidnappers demanded that Avery steal a classified CIA file containing the names of undercover agents in exchange for David's release. She asked for proof that her husband was alive. The caller made her listen to David's moaning, which filled her with anger. She cursed the caller with harsh words. The kidnappers warned her that any failure to fulfill their demand would result in her husband's death. Without wasting any time, she called Serena and asked her to tap the location of the caller. Avery threatened that if she refused, she would inform the Russian mob that Serena had tried to hack their servers. Left with no choice, Serena did what Avery asked. She moved to the location, but she fell into a trap as soon as she arrived. The unknown caller contacted her again and told her that she had not followed the instructions at all. He then revealed that she was standing on an explosive bomb as punishment because she did not follow his orders. She used her skills and defused the bomb with her own technique and escaped unharmed. She returned to the CIA black site and handed over her weapon to the man who opened the door for her. She went straight to Maxfield and asked him if CPD 0912749 had actionable intel related to the case she had been assigned. Maxfield granted her permission to enter a room where they were holding Mr. Stoika in custody. She told him that she had met one of his friends in Japan, Kenji Nakajima. When she started asking him questions, he refused to cooperate. Without hesitation, she beat him badly using her combat skills and took the file from him before escaping with clever tactics. Maxfield was appointed to catch Avery by the deputy director. Avery Graves contacted Headland and explained the whole situation to him. She wanted him to meet her at his home. As the CIA tracked her, they arrived at Headland's home with him to catch her, but she had already left the place before they arrived. Maxfield was eager to catch her because he had been ordered to do so, and he considered her a traitor. She then went to another person for help and offered him cash. She asked him to bring her the list of assassins in town, and also handed him a list of shopping items she needed. After that, she left for a hotel where she faced some trouble. Someone tried to mess with her, and she shot him. The man turned out to be one of the kidnappers. She opened a briefcase searching for the canary black file, but she could not find anything inside. The blackmailer video called her showing and torturing her husband. She told them that she needed more time. After that, she received an encrypted message from Headland, and he said he wanted to meet her at the mentioned place. She went to him and discussed all the matters. Headland told her that her husband was not kidnapped as he had some tickets in previous days and transactions too. Avery insisted that he was kidnapped and she had to give them the fucking canary black file. At that time, CIA agents arrived in cars and caught her. On the way to the CIA location, they faced trouble from the blackmailer's car as they wanted to save Avery from the CIA, thinking that she had the file. During the fight and accidents, she escaped and killed the blackmailer's allies. She ran away, but one person followed her. It was her neighbor Nicholas, who was working for a private agency. The deputy director became very angry about the incident that one woman had created such a mess. CIA agents found the pictures of Nicholas. A woman came to the blackmailer's head and informed him that Nicholas had died. Avery went to the person whom she had asked for shopping stuff and the assassin's list. He handed over the stuff, took his money, and gave her information about the Krager brothers and Niklaus, saying that Niklaus was a private contractor. He warned her never to call him again. Meanwhile, there was a meeting between the deputy director and Director Breznov regarding all the mess. Director Breznov was not happy with the situation. He asked about Avery, and the deputy director told him that she had stolen the top secret information. Avery took a hotel room where the deputy director was supposed to stay. She transferred herself from the outside window walls to that room and hid herself inside. She received another message instructing her to get the file soon. She kidnapped the deputy director Evans in that flat. She placed a muted mask over his mouth so he could not shout for help. He resisted and gave her 2 wrong passwords. In response, she broke 2 of his fingers and tied a grenade around his neck. Evans did not have much choice left and finally disclosed his password. However, Avery could not access the file in the hotel room as she needed to find a secure server approved by the CIA. She asked for help from her sister Serena again for the last time to reach the server and access the canary black file. She was flying in the air with the drone and landed on the roof. She asked Serena to bring back the drone in 10 minutes. She entered inside by encrypting the security system and reached the server area. She accessed the canary black file by entering the password and copied the data onto a pin drive. On the other side, the deputy director was still tied up for a long time. His personal secretary knocked on the door, and when there was no response, they opened the door and removed the bomb from his neck. Evans told them that Avery was in the server room accessing the canary black file. A high security alert was triggered inside the building, but she managed to escape. As she was returning by the drone, the officers damaged it, forcing her to find another way. She asked Serena to meet her at the place where they had met the first time. On her way, she stole a car from one of the men to reach the location. Serena reached the place, and Avery asked her to check what was in the pin drive. Serena told her that it contained the Doomsday Virus IP, targeting and geo-targeting that could cause massive destruction and potentially destroy the whole world. Avery took the laptop and broke it as she did not want to cause such damage. Serena was not happy with her decision. Avery took her cell phone and sent a message to Hedlund asking him to track the location as she wanted him to be with her. She drove the car at high speed to reach the kidnapper and waited to receive a call from him at a specific place. When she reached the location, she got into an accident. As soon as the phone rang, it suddenly stopped. Before she could react, she was attacked by an electric shock from one of the kidnapper's allies. His men drugged her and took her to their headquarters. Breznov already had the Canary Black file, and he was ready to create chaos all across the globe. He live-streamed a video to inform the leaders of every country who attended the Global Unification Summit about the destruction he could cause with just a click. To prove that he was not lying, he brought Singapore to a standstill by disrupting their internet. He warned the representatives of each country that they would face the same fate if they failed to transfer money to secure their safety. The representatives were given 1 hour to make their decision. Meanwhile, Breznov continued to torture Avery, but she breathed a sigh of relief when she saw David. However, as soon as he was brought into the room, he was shot in the stomach. But Avery did not expect David to protest the way he did. He was a skilled fighter, and with a few swift moves, he untied himself and killed 2 of Breznov's gang members. Avery realized that David was not the man he claimed to be. It turned out that David had told Breznov about the Canary Black file. He and Breznov had faked the kidnapping to convince Avery to steal the file. Avery realized that the man she had been living with was the infamous assassin Kali. Avery felt betrayed, but Kali reassured her that he truly loved her and that the life they had built together was real. He promised to find a way to make it right, but Avery could no longer trust him. She instructed him to cut off the internet while she tried to find a way to take down Breznov. More and more countries transferred money, fearing complete collapse and blackout. While Breznov planned to make maximum profit, Avery and Kali intervened. They started a shootout in the headquarters, and the internet router crashed. During Canary Black's ending, Avery stabbed Breznov and finally killed him. She reached the computer just in time and managed to stop the transfer. Kali begged Avery to forgive him. He was ready to start over again, and this time there would be no room for lies. Avery could not imagine being with one of the most wanted criminals in the world. She had fallen in love with David, but she did not know Kali. It was all too much for her to process, and she decided that it was best if they parted ways. But Kali refused to give up. He strongly believed that they stood a chance, but before Avery could make up her mind, CIA agents entered the room. Kali managed to escape and Avery was arrested. Deputy Director Evans accused Avery of bringing the world to the brink of war. He intended to erase her existence completely, and she would have no choice but to spend the rest of her life in prison. Evans grabbed hold of Avery's hand to break her fingers as she had done to him, but Avery was not a puppet. She swiftly broke his nose with a headbutt. While Avery tried to find a way to unlock the handcuffs, a woman entered the room. She asked Evans to leave, and he soon received a call from the President of the United States. The woman introduced herself as Elizabeth, and she offered Avery a job. She believed Avery had proved that she was extremely skilled and one of the best agents in the country. Elizabeth offered her the opportunity to join MC6, a team that was recently built to handle only critical missions that the other agencies could not tackle. Avery could get back her freedom by joining the team, or she could rot away in prison. The choice was simple. Avery chose her freedom, and it also suggested that she would continue to hunt the bad guys. Avery found her wedding ring, hinting that Kali already knew where she was. He was still hopeful that she would give their relationship another chance, and the fact that Avery kept the ring with her proved that he was right. Their relationship would interfere with her commitment to her nation, and it would only make matters worse.